We welcome you to the esplanade of Edinburgh Castle and the 43rd Edinburgh Military Tattoo with the fanfare Argyll's Regiment, composed by the tattoo's Director of Music, Lieutenant Colonel John Ware, Royal Marines, to honor the famous regiment of Foot Guards raised at the command of King Charles I by the Marquis of Argyll in 1642, 350 years ago, and known today throughout the world as the Scots Guards.
The regiment is raised. For 6 troublesome years, the regiment toiled in Ireland, while in England, King Charles was beheaded. On New Year's Day, 1651, Charles II was crowned and schooled with his lifeguard of foot, but within months was driven into exile by Oliver Cromwell. It was to be another 10 years before his proud regiment could again serve their king. In May 1660, King Charles II was restored to his throne.
The regiments of guards had always marched into battle to the beat of drums. From the armies of the great Ottoman Empire came some new ideas. Since the beginning of the history of martial music, the Meto band from Turkey has been acknowledged as the pioneer of all the military bands in the world, with a tradition dating back to pre-Christian times. What we're hearing now is music from the 17th and 18th centuries. Musicians march behind the flag of modern Turkey. 3 standards are borne, white, green, and red. And touques, ceremonial golden poles, are carried, from which hang horsetails. The band is dressed, as you can see, in magnificent robes and turbans, each combination of colors unique to the individual instruments. The zurna, a kind of oboe. The boru, a horn, cymbals, tambourines, the nakari, 2 small drums played with separate sticks. And in the center of the traditional semicircle, the crescent into which they will form, you will see the magnificently draped kus, kettle drums of camel hide stretched over bronze, often carried in former times by horses, camels, or elephants. splendid sight and a wonderful medieval sound. And a warm, spontaneous welcome to these handsome, warlike guests from the southeastern rim of Europe. It was in the 18th century that some of these strange percussion instruments like tambourines and cymbals and jingling johnnies were first adopted by the British Army. One of the first regiments to take them up was the 3rd Regiment of Foot Guards, known today as the Scots Guards. One of their imported musicians, Jean-Baptiste, served for 21 years and retired on a full pension. One good turn deserves another. British bands owe much to the traditional instruments of Turkey. We have given them one of our best-loved marches, Kenneth Orford's Colonel Bogey. The moment that many of you have been waiting for, as the massed pipes and drums pass through the gate tower of Edinburgh Castle and move across the drawbridge to a seasonable tune, the Braemar Gathering, by the famous pipe major G.S. McClellan. I first heard it played by his son at the Braemar Games on 7th September 1950 before King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. This tune, the Dundee City Police Band, was composed by the great Jimmy Shand, MBE. There are 7 bands represented: the pipers and drummers of the 2nd Battalion Scots Guards, the pipes and drums of the 4th Royal Tank Regiment, the Old Fort d'Etoile, the Black Watch, the 1st Battalion, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, the Adelaide University Regiment, one of Australia's finest pipe bands, the pipers in distinctive scarlet tunics and blue Elliott tartan, the Guards Depot Piping School, and the Edinburgh Battalion, the Boys Brigade, with their under-18 world champion drum major, Stephen Stanley. The senior drum major is the senior drum major of the Scottish Division, Drum Major Peter Robson, the Black Watch. His wife's here tonight. And the senior pipe major is Pipe Major Gordon Webster, Scots Guards. Pipes and drums have moved into a thistle formation. We shall hear first the slow air, Glengelder. Glengelder lies between Balmoral Castle and Loch Nagar. The air was composed by Pipe Major Jimmy McGregor, who was a gamekeeper on the Royal Estate and who died last year. Bay, the standard on the braes of Mar, will be followed by a reel, the tash, a nickname for the GOC Scotland and Governor of Edinburgh Castle, Lieutenant General Sir Peter Graham, himself a fine piper. suddenly the Esplanade is filled with Scottish country and Highland dancers. From all over Scotland they come. 150 of the 300 dancers who share the arena over 3 weeks. The first appearance of the Edinburgh Tattoo Company of Dancers. The reels are the High Road to Linton, Kate Dalrymple, The Kilt Is My Delight, and Jock Wilson's Ball. Strathspeys are Mercedes Crawford, Because He Was a Bonny Lad, Highland Whiskey, and Orange and Blue. The jig is All the Blue Bonnets Are Over the Border. Well, a delightful and happy all-age innovation to the tattoo, I think you'd agree. The Corps of Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, REME, was formed 50 years ago during the Second World War. Their fitness, teamwork, and engineering expertise are all to the fore in this competition between 8 Field Workshop in blue and 15 Field Workshop in red. The object, to rescue a maiden in distress by manhandling their Land Rovers over broken bridges and reassembling them on the other side.
Hold on, fair damsel, rescue is on its way. But, ladies and gentlemen, if these gallant crews are to reach the damsel in time, they're going to need your support. So if those of you in the north stand will shout for the red team, and those of you in the south stand will shout for the blue team, and those of you in the east stand will shout for the team nearest to you, it'll spur them on to greater efforts. These Land Rovers are 15-year-old Series 3 vehicles which the mechanics have lovingly engineered so that they can be broken down into 8 parts. The heaviest part is the engine and gearbox, which you can see the young mechanics in the blue team have not the slightest difficulty moving, even though it weighs 3/4 of a ton and would give an Olympic weightlifter problems. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, in the north stand, the red team needs your help. Well done, the north stand. I think you've spurred the red team on. Oh, there's the blue team ready, and away they go. They've driven Dick dastardly off, and they've swept the maiden into their chariot into safety. Well done, the blue team. And there you have them, ladies and gentlemen, the gallant heroes of the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers.
Villainy conquered, virtue secured, and Alistair Hutton, OBE, was your friendly arena commentator. Massed bands of Her Majesty's Royal Marines are led onto the esplanade by Corps Drum Major Mike Sable. 3 of the 7 Royal Marines bands are on parade. The band of the Royal Marines School of Music at Deal, the band of the C&C Naval Home Command, the band of the Flag Officer, Scotland and Northern Ireland, which is based here in Scotland. The regimental march is a life on the ocean wave. slow march was called World in Union. And we hear now a selection of traditional Scottish airs tied together under the name of the familiar heights just to the southwest of the festival city, Pentland Hills. corps of drums always leads a Royal Marines band on parade. It was the drummer's calls which once ordered the daily routine in ships of the Royal Navy. The drummers play a central role still in the ceremony of beating retreat. This is Carajak. Green grow the rashes o', green grow the rashes o'. The sweetest hours that e'er I spend are spent among the lasses o'. The mass bands of Her Majesty's Royal Marines were under the direction of the Principal Director of Music, Royal Marines, and the Director of Music of this year's tattoo, Lieutenant Colonel John Ware. The CABUK Choir's conductor is Alex Elric. Mass, pipes and drums enter once again to the tune, The Meeting of the Waters. A song which has stirred many hearts in Scotland in recent years and is played now as a slow troop. The late Roy Williamson's Flower of Scotland. Regimental slow march of the Scots Guards, the garb of Old Gaul, composed by General John Reid, the soldier who endowed the chair of music at Edinburgh University. For 3.5 centuries, the Scots Guards have served their sovereign in peace and war. They fought with distinction at Waterloo, in the Crimea, in Egypt, South Africa, and in the 2 World Wars. The regiment has won no fewer than 11 Victoria Crosses. In 1982, the Scots Guards earned another honorary distinction at Mount Tumbledown in the Falkland Islands. It brought the number of honorary distinctions awarded to the regiment to 92. The number of battle honors carried on the regimental color to 40. The 2nd Battalion, whose color this is, and who are finding the Guard of Honor this evening, are to be placed in suspended animation on the 30th of November, 1993, St. Andrew's Day, next year. And they will merge then with the 1st Battalion at Windsor. To the tune, the Glendaruel Highlanders, the rest of the huge cast, assemble for the finale. Soldiers with torches. The band of the Scots Guards in their immaculate scarlet tunics and gleaming bearskins. They will form into the star of the regimental cap badge, taking center stage. From Turkey, the musicians of the Meta Band, with their national flag, their standards, and their golden tubes with the black horse tails. Tribute now from Germany to Scotland's mountains and glens. A beautiful melody written in Berlin and called Highland Cathedral. Is the past, let us start anew. Let this hope of peace always remain. Worldwide Song of Parting, which Robert Burns said he took down from an old man singing. Auld Lang Syne.
Ladies and gentlemen. God save the Queen!
The evening hymn, the lowering of the colors, and lights out. A lone piper, high in the night sky above the city of Edinburgh. Lance Corporal, Draper, 2nd Battalion Scots Guards. plays the Scots Guards' Lights Out, Donald Blue.
Scotland the Brave.
Over 500 performers in this year's Edinburgh Tattoo, the first to be produced by Major Michael Parker, CBO, MBE. Scots Guards, the Highland and Country Dancers. They come from all over Scotland. The Meadow Band comes all the way from Istanbul. And the CABUK Choir, too, in its Silver Jubilee year. They come mostly from Leswade, Dalkeith, Bonnyrigg, Lonehead and Pennycook. And the massed bands of Her Majesty's Royal Marines. They're no a war to bide a war. How good it's been to see them back here in Edinburgh. To the Black Bear, the traditional tune of Scottish regiments returning to barracks at the end of the day. The 118 massed pipes and drums are the last to leave the esplanade. And as they go, we wish you, wherever across the world you've been watching, joy in your step, until another year has marched heel for heel and toe for toe down the Royal Mile, and we meet once again on Castle Hill. From Edinburgh, goodbye.